Thank you for joining XROM, which is India's first AR/VR focused podcast. And today, I'm honored to have with me Anshul Agarwal, who's the co-founder of XR Central. He's been in the tech space since quite a long time, and has been in the marketing space, especially fronting companies such as HCL Technologies and Infosys. So, Anshul, really appreciate you taking time and being part of the podcast. Why don't we start with a small, basic, brief introduction, and then we can go forward.
Sure. Thank you so much, Eddie. And it's a pleasure to be in conversation with you. So, a quick brief about me. I started my career as a mechanical engineer. And from there, I moved on to get an MBA. That's where a lot of entrepreneur blood really kicked in. I got a great opportunity to move to the Bay Area to really see, where the magic is really happening. How's the world's economy dependent on that? That's where I picked up, let's not be really afraid about having an idea. Let's have those ideas. Let's try and execute them because people are thinking about the ideas, but the winners are really who are executing them and taking feedback and improving the lives of folks. So that's a quick brief, what I believe in. And that's where I've really picked up. I transformed myself from a mechanical engineer to a completely sales and marketing professional. That too, selling technology. It's not simple because I used to be, talking about primary oil, secondary oil, and all of a sudden I was there in the Bay Area and selling Wi-Fi. So, that was a huge transition. And I would say that was actually pretty good for me because that's where I got the first-hand understanding that marketing needs to evolve. There needs to be a better way where you can actually make an impact in your first meeting. That's where I got a lot of exposure of immersive technologies. And that sort of leads us to the base of what I'm actually doing today. That is what XR Central is all about. We have been in the gaming industry for the past 7 years. We have seen it evolve, and we have also identified what were the challenges. We used to talk about devices, the cost of it. At the same time, we used to talk about content and actually the dirt of content not being available. That is where people were a little hesitant to adopt to something like in virtual reality or in augmented reality solutions. But now with XR Central, we sort of have it covered, right, Eddie? So that's a quick brief intro of what I've been doing and why I'm really excited about it.
Lovely, Anshul. So thank you for running us through your journey from MBA to moving to Bay Area, understanding entrepreneurship, and like I think what you pointed out is something really important. I should double stress on it that I think most of the time, as students who move on from colleges, they hold these big ideas, and it gets diluted somewhere because that idea doesn't get translated into an actionable product, a service, a solution. So I think, yeah, we living in a fantastic world. There is so much opportunities. If you have an idea, I think you should just collaborate with a lot of people rather than just holding it on, saying that okay, my idea, somebody is going to take it. I think if ideas are floating out in the universe, I think if you action that idea into something really concrete, I think there's going to be super beneficial for you. And you mentioned about how you got into XR in the early days, and how you saw the opportunity of how XR could benefit marketing. I want to get into XR Central and what are you doing. Maybe you could address that, because somebody who's been fronting, the marketing space, and you've been, there for part of some really big companies. What are your views? I mean, would you like to share with the audience? How do you think XR can accelerate marketing?
That's a great question, Eddie. And I have very strong perception on it because I've actually lived it. I've seen that. I've been a part of that evolution, not just as a technology evolution, but even myself selling out there using various methods. Because as you can understand, sales and marketing is essentially about making the impact. It's all about making that relationship. It's all about how are you able to give that top of the mind recall as your particular brand to the potential buyers or the decision makers, right? I used to, and in my early days, I used to use LinkedIn quite efficiently for setting up meetings. And once I started setting up meetings, I used to be lucky, to be very honest, because I used to have a good hit rate of getting those meetings. Once I got those meetings, I used to go with a well created presentation deck, and I used to be very excited about that. Oh my god, I've really created a fantastic looking deck, and I'm sure that today it's going to be a sale, right? And once we go there, after a couple of times, I started realizing that texts are actually not making an impact. Reason being, it's a one-way dialogue, right? I would be the speaker, people will just listen to it, and I really have no clue in terms of how much are they really absorbing, because they see decks day in, day out, and I'm really talking about the C-suite over there, right? For them, I can really concise the deck. It could be 5 slides, it could be 6 slides, rather than showing it like a 20, 30 slides. That's great. But still, it was not making an impact. What I did was, I thought I started adding some videos to it. So there was some animations in the presentations, but I started adding a couple of video based content. Then all of a sudden, I realized those 20, 30-second videos started having a conversation. Oh, this is great, but you know what? I don't want to see the deck now. I think this is good. And then that sort of got me thinking, okay, this needs to be a two-way conversation. That is where, even when I was with companies like Infosys, HCL, we used to start and innovated a practice called as the experiential marketing, per se, where it was a simple phenomena, right? It was a simple proposition. We want our listeners, or so-called those decision makers, to be a part of that presentation. How do we really do that? If I create a virtual reality based experience, let's be honest, it's immersive, it's interactive. I am making sure that the person who's actually experiencing that has something to contribute. I am making that person a part of that experience altogether, rather than just making them a single person who's just listening to and whatever blah 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 I'm just saying around. So that started making an impact. All of a sudden we saw the evolution of experience centers in the IT and tech, and that's where we started gamifying everything. Selling a cybersecurity service, oh yeah, it could be very, very boring. I talk about the protocols, I talk about everything. How about making it into a card game, putting them into a scenario? You have so many dollars now, you know what, and it's immersive. It's we're running on your virtual reality headset, and it's gone gamified totally. Now you're put into that situation where you are the CIO, or you are the chief security officer, and then you have to protect your company in a particular scenario, and there's a subtle branding that'll come, and it says what? Oh, you know what? Powered by XR Central, for example, if this is the service that I'm selling. So that also transformed the sports ecosystem altogether. So I think that's a long answer to what you have asked, but that's something I've lived and I've evolved with that.
Lovely. Anshul, thank you for sharing your insights. And you mentioned that from the early days, from going with your plain 2D decks to understanding that videos add value more than images, then moving on to the XR space and breaking the boundary of 2D flat restrictive to the 3D space, where you're making them part of the experience and creating an experiential way to show them the product and experience. And then you took it another step further of gamifying the products. Then it is complete interactive, and the buyer are experiencing it in a way where there's more interest and there's more chances of that conversation of just a deck converting into a sale. So yes, I think to the listeners, who were listening, yes, I think we're in a fantastic space, and we're breaking away from a flat 2D interface. We're going into the 3D world, with the Metaverse, the Web 3.0, and the opportunities are so humongous. I think But the only thing is, I think I would like to stress over here that this train, which is full of innovation, is moving really really fast. And if these enterprise, if those brands do not leverage the opportunity right now, I mean, you will be left behind and disrupted, and that's what happened for companies like Kodak, which didn't see the opportunity of digital cameras. So the metaverse. So I want to get into XR Central, but Metaverse. Everybody's got their own explanation. Would you like to briefly summarize what the Metaverse is and its
Sure.
opportunity?
Absolutely, and I'm so glad you've asked that because you're absolutely bang on. Everyone has a very different definition of metaverse. What we believe as XR Central as the metaverse, it's an evolution of the gaming industry. It's an evolution, or it's a combination of evolution of the gaming and the internet. That's in a if I have to just describe it in a one liner, that's what it's going to be. Metaverse essentially has a few elements that we like to describe. It's going to be on the internet. It's going to be web based approach. You can access it across devices. There should be no restrictions like smartphones, PCs, laptops, and so on. It will be multiplayer. That's where we say it's an evolution of the gaming. It will have your digital identity, or so called the digital avatars, right? Because as now, I like to be seen like this. People recognize me with my physical appearance in the physical infrastructure. There will be a look which people in the digital world will recognize me as Anshul in that. That is something, Eddie, we're really cool because we've sort of trademarked it to ourselves. We call it the Metaprenuers. That's something, we have built an avatar engine. Yeah. And we'll talk more on that. The other thing is, apart from running on the web, multiplayer, there needs to be collaboration. We are seeing a whole new age of even the social media evolving now. If the social media is going to go to the immersive world, it needs to be collaborative. There needs to be an exchange of a dialogue. There needs to be a sort of exchange of the video, the collaboration that we are doing right now, the video conferencing, the audios. For enterprises, there needs to be whiteboarding, jamboarding. People can come in and they can really sort of contribute to an idea, right? So, in a nutshell, metaverse, it's an evolution of the gaming and the internet, yes, and it's an ecosystem play. That is where we say it'll have these key elements that I just spoke about. So that's the notion that we are going and building the company all around.
Thank you, Anshul, again for explaining metaverse. Yes, I think it's the next evolution of the internet, the virtual world, which will be interoperable, accessible, multiplayer with concurrent users, and yeah. So it's such
Yep.
an exciting space. And you rightfully pointed out. I mean, as weird it might sound to the consumers who are listening, or brands, that why would we have digital avatars? That's already happening in the gaming world. My son's a 7-year-old boy and he's hooked onto gaming, and I think he spends more time in front of his comp and TV, and I've kind of made peace with that, because there was a time where when kids used to play a lot of games, it was a no but I think the world is changing. There are play to learn games, play to earn games, and there are people who are making a career out of the gaming industry. So that, again, I think I need to highlight that I think parents need to be a little bit more open. Yes, we need to take a little bit more cautious approach, because not everything in the digital world is safe, so there needs to be more conversation that whatever we're building is more consumer first, more humanity first. So those are the conversation obviously we need to have. Now, yes, XR Central. Uh,
Mhm.
uh, when you talk about XR Central, you mentioned that there was various reasons why you created XR Central. What was maybe the main problem that you're solving? What is XR Central? What is it doing? And also, if you can address through XR Central, what have been the benefits or leverage, I mean, for enterprises? How have they benefited by XR Central?
The idea was that, like Netflix, for example, just as an example, would you like to go on Netflix and actually see no content out there? How will you feel about that? Similarly, we thought there are devices like Oculus Quest, HTC Vive, they have their own app stores, but there's not much of content to be consumed. Now, if there is not much of content to be consumed, the idea is how would people really know about what could be an ROI, even if it's a brand? What could be the potential outcome of it? How will we create it? And if there is no content, that gives a whole new problem statement saying, Acha, there's no content. That means there is no one actually creating it. That means it's very, very difficult. That means it's going to be very, very expensive because it's going to be very, very niche skills required for doing that. That means even I don't know how to really create it. I don't know if it's sustainable. We thought there needs to be a platform where the world, so I'm not just talking about the India market, this is the global market, where the world would actually be coming onto a platform, and can they really create immersive experiences? Let's not call it the metaverses, but the immersive experiences which are powered by a gaming engine, and it's so simple, they drag and drop, and they are able to just publish it within a couple of minutes, right? And invite other peoples to collaborate on it. Now what that will do is, all of a sudden you'll see, because Eddie, you're talking about that, building that community. How will the community really be built? Let's be honest. Unless and until there is something to consume, unless and until there is a common goal around it, there is not going to be a community. But what are we doing is, we have created a platform called Metacube. It's a rapid metaverse experience builder. It's an online building platform. Anyone, whether you're a creator, whether you're a brand or an individual, you can just come onto the platform and rapidly, when I talk about rapidly, less than 2 minutes it takes you to really publish interactive, collaborative, highly immersive metaverse experiences, which is powered by a gaming engine, in less than 2 minutes. Now that is the value proposition, and that was the whole motto why XR Central was formed. And I'm so glad that the external forces have really also really helped us, whether it's the entire ecosystem play around the 5G gaming, and Facebook, to be very honest, on the quotes, renaming itself. I'm so glad that sort of worked out. So that's the problem that we're trying to resolve, and we've been successful. For enterprises, there are two type of scenarios. One is called, let's say, the B2E space, which is your business to employee space. That is where they're trying to elevate the experience. About all the attrition problems right now, right? I mean, the attrition rates have gone up from an average in the IT and tech from, I think, 18% to now 34, or almost touching the early 40%. So there needs to be that experience that companies are actually providing their employees, the engagement platform. Now in such cases, metaverse is the pill, it's a painkiller for them, right? Similarly, they have their own clients. So for us, how we help them is, we are a B2B, and then those clients, they go to B2B to B, right? So they sell it to their businesses or their consumers. Now what happens is, for example, the way that they're doing it is, one is taking their physical infrastructure and converting it into the virtual worlds, right, where they're actually inviting their customers to come and visit them. So that's the two use cases around, let's say, the digital twin. Or it could be imaginative, because metaverse gives you that liberty that you are not just bound by the physical infrastructure. Now you can really explore and imagine, and it's created. And so that means, what I'm trying to say is, for them, how we help them is, we give them direct access, we give them easy access for them, either their brand to go on to the metaverse, or their brands to really go to the metaverse. Either it's sales and marketing, either it's operations, either it's employee engagement. So for them, that is the benefit that they're really getting from us, because we have been in this space for quite a while right now.
Lovely, Anshul. So super awesome. You're addressing the consumer space as well as the enterprise space. In consumer space, you said the largest problem is the problem of content. And that's been the case with I think some of the largest guys who are building the HMDs, AR, VR headsets, and there is the numbers are growing. The developer content creator is growing, but still there's a lack of content. And you saying that you taking an extremely simple, very awesome approach of creating a metaverse, which is completely no code. Anybody, whether it's a consumer or a brand, can come and build their own metaverse experiences, you said, under a couple of minutes, and then you can publish it, host it onto this thing. So my first question: hosting a metaverse, obviously it's expensive. How does that work? I mean, maybe address that. Second, you mentioned about digital twins, so maybe address that, because there are a lot of people who don't know what digital twins is. Maybe address that, as in give an example how you have created digital twins and how is it added value.
Sure, sure. So let's pick up the first question. You spoke about the cloud infrastructure, for example. Hosting of the metaverses. Yes, it's expensive because either we are working with any of the giants like an Amazon or a Google Cloud or the Azure, Microsoft. So the way that it really works is for our clients, we just host it for them. We have that infrastructure set up. I have a dedicated team who totally is DevOps, who is only taking care of the servers and the scaling of the same. And they don't really have to worry about it. The way that we function is whatever costs that we built in, covers all of that for us. Scaling, and the reason why we go to the larger players, of course, is because of the scaling. It provides us the auto scales, because we're talking about content which could actually be let's say 20 MBs, which is being downloaded every second, for example. That's the type of thing. But we as a startup, we take that burn. Because it's all about getting that adoption rate high. It's all about getting my community started around that. So the customers, the clients, they don't really have to worry about any of the hosting things, because we do it with the best in the world, which is, as I said, Amazons or the Googles of the world, right? The second question, Eddie, is a very interesting one of my personal favorites, because I feel that digital twins solves a huge problem, especially when it comes to the manufacturing industry. So, and I'll get to that. First, the definition. What does a digital twin really mean? For example, if I'm sitting in my own house right now, can I make sure it's a scale model of it? Can I make sure that it's a one-on-one replica of how it really looks, how my couches look, how my walls are painted? Can all of that go from the physical world to the virtual world, and it feels like it's exactly the same? Now that is called a digital twin. Now, whether digital twins are of couple of types, one is the entire facility altogether. When I talk about facility, the infrastructure, it could be a factory, it could be a house, a building, it could be even an office. So that's one type of it. Second is a particular equipment or a product, right? You can really replicate how that particular product or an equipment functions and looks like. It's the exact. We used to talk about CAD designs of those equipments. Now, but CAD designs, to be very honest, are very heavy in size. They go up to a couple of GBs, gigabytes, to be really honest about it. They won't run on a web browser. They won't. They'll just crash it. So a digital. So second type of a digital twin is the equipment or a product. The third type, what I like to describe about is a process. So, for example, if you are a manufacturer, you have a particular process of painting a door of a car, right? Now that is a process. Now all of that can really be created as a a digital twin and can be replicated on the metaverse. So what happens is, why metaverse? Because digital twins, what they're enabling to do is, let's suppose the biggest use case for digital twins have been training, where, for example, if there is a facility, there is a power plant, for example, not everyone can actually go in there, or if a particular company has to train them, there is a lot of safety hazards that could really happen. Now, can we simulate that in the same environment? For example, there was a use case that we've done for one of the clients, where they said, we have refineries, oil refineries, but we want the truck drivers who go there to get a first hand feel of what to expect over there. So we created a digital twin of the outer area of the refinery, because we know the truck drivers are only going to be primarily be moving around outside area of the particular refinery and navigating through those buildings and those furnaces and all of that. So we created a digital twin where a driver were actually sitting in a truck, and they're driving and they're seeing what's around, and as soon as they break a particular protocol, a rule, if they're crossed, let's say, a solid yellow line, there's a beep which comes in, and that also gives the trainers to stress upon the fact, what, this is something which we see as a pattern, you need to really improve that. So digital, that is where the power of metaverses, the power of immersive content as an XR is very, very, it's superb. You really can't beat it, because that's going to give you that level of immersiveness into it. So digital twins are like the best examples of what the corporates, even if they have to give them a walkthrough to their clients, but because of restrictions, I used to go to power plants because I'm a mechanical engineer. But what if, when I was a part of Siemens, what if, I got a first hand look even before going to an NTPC, for example, and I could see, oh my God, okay, CISF really takes that much time to make an entry and put me in. That I would have been really, really prepared. How to navigate, what are the rules and all of that. So that's going to be the future. That's the future, digital twins and metaverse.
Right. Yeah. I think we're getting into the world where everything physical is going to be digitized with sensors,
Yeah.
real-time data integration. It's going to add value, and those merging of the digital and physical world is going to give you insights to create better product, services, and solutions, both in the physical as well as the digital world. So we're getting into an exciting space now. When we talk about the metaverse and Web 3.0, I think the biggest opportunity lies into how we get into the metaverse or the Web 3.0 frictionless. And today, obviously, the Web 3.0 has a lot of friction, but I think the largest opportunity, according to me, is digital identity and wallets, because that's your gateway to both of these world. And you mentioned in the course of conversation that you're building Metapreneurs and avatar engine. Would you like to talk about that?
Sure, sure. So it's called Metaprenuers. So we took an inspiration from saying, in real life, if I'm really doing a business or if there is any transactions, I'm actually called as an entrepreneur. So we took in the metaverse, what are they really going to be called? So we took that inspiration and we created that word as the metaverse meta and preneurs. So now it's Metapreneurs. And as I said, digital identity, is going to be of utmost importance. Even today, if someone calls me, hey, Harsha, I would be offended. I would be like, okay, either you don't know me because you have not seen me before. So that's okay. But if you know me, how can you call me Harsha? Because that's the same how I look. You know. Now, taking that analogy, I want to be also recognized in the metaverse space. I also want to be recognized in that piece of internet that someone else has owned because of the Web 3 and the decentralization. But I want to look the same. That is where what we thought is, and we're not using any players like Ready Player Me. You know, we have built our own avatar engine, which comes with close to some 500,000 combinations of choosing from your eyes to your facial hair, body types, clothing. We are the first to actually introduce ethnic wear in our engine. Now people can actually go with a kurta and a pajama and really move around, and females with the sari. So what we have really done is that we have made it very very easy. It's highly optimized that it runs on your mobile phones right now, right? And that too in multiplayer, right? So having that digital identity, that's where we thought, let's not rely on a particular ecosystem partner for that. Let's have that in-house capability, and at least give the users to really create their own avatars personalized to them and socially alert. So when I talk about socially alert, it's all about, we've made it fun. We are gamers, so we love to have fun. So that's the whole idea with my entire Metropreneur and the digital identity to carry forward.
Congratulations. I mean, I think, both Metacube, Metapreneurs could be the building blocks of the metaverse, because you guys are doing something really unique. There are a few players trying something in the same lines, but I think you guys have extended your capabilities, and congratulations to you, and congratulations on the recent fundraise also. So, how are you going to be leveraging the fundraise, the funds, and what's the team strength at this point of time? What do they bring on board? And can you talk to, or give some insights to those entrepreneurs on the challenges today on the recruiting, because when it comes to metaverse, Web3 developers, the big tech guys have like completely hoarded them. So what's been the challenges of recruiting talent for the metaverse?
The way that we are looking at the utilizing the funds is primarily, strengthening our development team, because the way that we see, and we've just spoke about it, is the cost of resources in itself is just, growing exponentially. And I'm just waiting for it to really come down, to be very honest. I mean, the way people are demanding salaries, it's not their fault, because there are companies, whether it's a big player or a small player, they're getting that amount of salary, right? So for us, the way that we plan to utilize is, one is strengthening our development team. Second is primarily going out there and having a global presence, because that is something which, especially in an industry which is really picked up, there is a lot of buzz around it. It's the hot talk point right now. For us, we need to be out there. We need to be globally present, and for that, just to give you an example, we are doing a beta launch of Metacube at Jitex in Dubai. Secondly, we got selected for Slush, which is one of the largest startup tech events that happens in Finland, right? So we are off to Finland in November, and we're really really excited about it, because Finland as a market itself is very well known for the gaming industry. A lot of fantastic games labels have really come out from that market. Tech space is really tricky to really hire a techie. Oh, you need guts. And to be very honest, when I say you need guts as an entrepreneur, the only message I can give is have guts. That's it. There's nothing wrong, nothing right. Go with it. You take a decision, move. Let's see how it goes. Simple Funda, what we do is we try to build partnerships. We try to build our relationships. If there is a particular, let's say, developer or a senior guy who we know could really be beneficial for us, we are the first movers, and it's no shame. We reach out to that particular person, whether it's a junior person or a senior person, right? And we try to make that conversation first. That really will help, to understand, build that trust. It's all about trust. Everyone wants to work for a larger organization. Even today, if given an opportunity, people will move to Microsoft, right? That's like the easy way to put it. As an entrepreneur, your biggest challenge is going to be, how do you hold your team together? What is it that you as entrepreneurs are making them believe about? What is that vision? How are you actually making that sale to your team? Then go out to the market and make a sale. Because if you have those believers, so initially building that core team is very, very crucial. You need to be very, very cautious. At the same time, don't take a whole hell out of a lot of time on it. Just move. There'll be people who will come in and come, they'll go. That's okay. You stick to the idea. Is there a gaming, industry specific discipline which has started in colleges? Yes, there are. Just be out there, be aware. There are, every day you'll see people switching jobs. Can you catch them in the midway? That's in a nutshell what I can really talk about, right? The other part I just remembered that you wanted to ask me was the team size, right? So we're a team of 25. The way that we're structured is the two co-founders, that's me and Shrey Mishra. Then we have a 3D engineering and design team, because that is also a very, very crucial part. That's how my platform, my experiences look like. Then I have the tech team, which is divided into game developers, full stacks, and DevOps. The one thing that all of them bring to the table is the mindset for me. It's simple, you know. Um, it's all about the mindset. They bring that mindset. They all are gamers. They want to build games, and what a better place. That's why we call, for us, Metaverse is an evolution of the gaming. They're all enthused about it. The average age, Eddie, to be very honest, and I don't know if you'll be surprised by it, is actually 23 years of my team, and that's sort of skewed towards because of me and Shrey. But that's the idea. And then we do have couple of in my 3D team, the average age will be around 26, 27. That too because we have couple of guys with us who have actually been credited in the credit section of the very well known games. Now that is the type of talent we've been attracting, and we've been very, very lucky around that.
Great things happening, yeah, for you guys. So I'm really excited, and
Yeah.
I hope that there's an Indian startup, making a mark globally, because I think the lines are being blurred. For 50 years, I mean, I was based out of Bombay. I was doing my business out of Bombay, and then just for the last 6 months, I've kind of moved to Goa. The reason I moved to Goa is because I've been the one who's been a loud proponent that geography is becoming history. And I'm really happy that I moved over here, because it gives you. I've always been a digital boy, and the environment is nice, and you've got lots of opportunity sitting in the digital world. For someone who's saying that he's going to be moving to UAE. That's what I think the press clip says, that you guys are moving to UAE. The question I pose to you is, what are your thoughts on, as an entrepreneur, how important is geography? And while you address that, maybe also address that countries such as UAE, Dubai, I think they are really going all out when it comes to their metaverse Web 3.0 strategy. And that's the reason we have seen a brain drain from here. We've seen the polygons and the wazirs moving to Dubai. I believe, at least through the press clip, it looked like XR Central is also setting up base, not moving, setting up base in Mumbai. But yeah, do address that, the brain drain also.
Right. So first of all, we're not moving, as you've said. We've just sort of trying to expand, because we feel that, especially the Middle East, where they're they're really, really ahead of at least the India market in terms of adoption of technology. Now that is where we see an opportunity. See, as an entrepreneur, as a business owners, we're all about the opportunity where we can really come in and get that market share for us. And especially something like Dubai, they're really looking at a very different way of earning and boosting their economy, which used to be, I think those are old days with oil. Now they're moving towards tourism a lot, right? And that is where a lot of money is being also spent on setting up infrastructure. Our thought was that we need to be present there, because Dubai primarily also gives us a global audience. There's so much of people coming in globally, that I'll be sort of very very thrilled to see and to meet and to hear from those in just under one roof itself, and take the metaverse and create their use cases primarily, right? So Dubai for us is a very very strategic, um, I would say, location. So again, we're not moving out, but it's all about learning, because one thing is, Eddie, what are you creating that you're selling and you're making money on it? The other thing is, you need to be in the game to continuously sustain yourself. You need to continuously evolve. So for us, Dubai is also a market where there'll be global competition, which we will be compared with, where which also gives us an opportunity. There are negatives, but I, as an entrepreneur, don't look at negatives. I'm talking about, let's, what are the even the positives that I can really extract from that. So that positive itself in the competition is, okay, we are at level 5, for example. How can I really now go up to level 10? So that's the opportunity, and that's the sole reason why I'm actually also taking a couple of my team members, one from the tech, one from the design, to go and see. It's very easy for us to just go onto the internet, take some references and create it. No, but let's go to the market, let's see what we have built, and we're open to criticism. Give us the criticism. No criticism is bad. It's all feedback. It's all about how we take it. So it's a very very strategic, I would say, move for us to set up a base. That's what we're trying to do when we are going to Dubai next week, and see how much of really the market can we really start capturing, and let's have those conversations kicked in. So that's the idea for that.
Lovely, superb. Yeah. So yes, I mean, you rightfully pointed out. I think Dubai is going all guns blazing, and they're transitioning from the oil economy because they understand that they benefited from the oil, but it's also impacted the world in a big way, and they're moving very smartly, transitioning both, leveraging the tourism and also the tech. They're going all guns blazing. When it comes to the strategy, creating strategy for the metaverse, Web3, welcoming startups from around the world to come set up base. India, it's such at poised to become a global superpower, because we hold the engineering depth over here like no other country in the world. But somehow I don't see the desire of creating that global intent. In fact, Balaji Srinivasan, he also quoted that he's very excited for the people of India, but not for the government per se. But I hope that we change our stance and really look at creating policies and regulatory frameworks where we have more inflow of these international startups setting up coming up base over here, plus we create an empowering ecosystem that nurtures and nudges our own ecosystem and gives them a wider opportunity, not just in India, but they can so that give a stepping stone so that they can leverage the opportunity of around the world. Because if we are building the metaverse that we are all talking about, that actually is a virtual world without a government. It's a virtual world without a bank, and that virtual world is poised to be an 8 to 13 trillion dollar opportunity. That's what the likes of City banks and others have quoted. So there's such a huge market, and if we don't start now, there'll be like these front movers such as you, Dubai and all, who will be taking the pie, and we'll be just asking a question. So to those enterprise or people, folks out there who want to reach out to you, where can they reach out to you best?
Oh, it's very simple. Either log on to xrcentral.tech and contact us. They or try out our platform itself, metacube.ai, or my LinkedIn.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll definitely leave your links behind so they can directly, reach out directly to you. My last question, Anshul. So, you guys have also been in the esports space,
Esports, yeah.
esports space, and then you recently done a partnership with Gigabyte and Lucknow IPL.
Yeah.
Talk about the opportunity of esports in the metaverse, and uh, paint a picture of what the world is going to look like, or at least what India is going to look like if they leverage the opportunity of the metaverse.
I mean, we've been very, very lucky to have that partnership with Gigabyte and Lucknow Super Giants, a new entrant in the IPL. With Gigabyte, see, the idea was Gigabyte has fantastic products which are expensive, right? They have those gaming PCs, laptops, hardware all around it, components. It's expensive. So they wanted to really make an impact, and how do they really come to the India market? So their products are not really sold in India right now. Right? So, they said, okay, you know what, for the India market, we have also done a partnership with Lucknow Super Giants, where we are their helmet sponsors. Anshul, can you do something? I was like, yeah, that's fantastic, because for us, as I said, every metaverse that we create is like creating a game, which we love, you know. And what we have done is for them is, because there was an element of subtle branding required, subtle product displays required of Gigabyte, we recreated, or we painted the entire Lucknow Ekana stadium very, very similar, right? And we, where people can come in choosing their avatars, can go to that stadium, look, it resembles there's some artwork from Lucknow, because there are great artists over there. You walk to the stadium from the entrance, you go inside, and you enter a stadium, green grass, the pitch, and you see all around, you get to know your players. So we started creating know your player zone over there, because no one really knew which team are they really going to go with. So we knew they signed up 21 players. So we created like a dressing room, but in an open stadium itself. It's pretty good. People should go check it out. And you go over there, and then you can really learn about what each player is contributing to the team. You can also see their stats. You can also see if he is a bowler or a batsman or an all-rounder, right? So we put very, very visual cues. If it's KL Rahul was the captain, so KL Rahul's image, then there was a bat, a ball, which was kept, right? And the wicket keeping gloves, because he also wicket keeps, right? So that was one zone. Subtly from there, we created. So this is a great example of interconnected metaverses. It had multiple metaverses to really maneuver around with. Then there was a zone which people can really go in, which was Gigabyte's Experience Center. That is their product placement zone. They showcase their Aorus and Aero devices over there. All of these IPL contracts, the way that they work for the sponsorship is they give you certain player time, whether it's 2 hours, 4 hours, to really engage with. Okay. And then you can ask them to do anything as long as it's legal and all of that. Right. So the way Gigabyte thought was that we should have a fans meet and greet. They will invite, using a raffle draw, they will select, let's say, 30, 40 people who will get some face time, and they can ask their questions with their stars, which is KL Rahul, Ravi Bishnoi, Jason Holder was there, Krunal Pandya was there, and Quinton de Kock, right? So usually this used to happen over Zoom. What we did was we integrated that, we gamified it. We created, one is the raffle draw, and then one is also a PC building competition, because see, that was very, very something native that Gigabyte gets. So we created, a game within the metaverse where avatars will come in and they will actually spend some time building their own PCs, right? Once whosoever builds this fast, and we really got to microseconds of it, because that's the tough competition that we really wanted to have, right? And then we had a Q&A with them. It came in with spatial audio. That means, like, how do we really think about spatial audio is, if you're in a physical infrastructure, if you're in a large hall or a conference room, typically what happens is if you along with someone is standing on one corner and then I'm very very further away from you, I can't really hear you, right? So we utilized all of that to really give, because our thing is, how much of the real infrastructure behaviors can we really take and add it to the metaverse? Because I don't want to change people's behavior. I want them to act as same. Behaviors take time, habits take time to really uh, get hooked to. So we want to really take what it's like living in the real infrastructure and move it to the virtual. So esports in itself, it could be of multiple use cases. One is, how are you really engaging your fans with the game? We have done a couple of engagements with the tennis world already. Then how can you really bring it very very close to them? If I'm a cricket fan, can I use something like an augmented reality and bring the cricket arena right on my dining table and see, oh my god, Sachin Tendulkar played this knock of 143 in Sharjah, and this is how shots he really played. Now that really is something that I as a fan would love, right? Similarly with the metaverse, how close can you take them to the space? Can we recreate memories? Can we recreate memories like MS Dhoni winning the World Cup, for example? Roger Federer now retiring, can we recreate a particular of his favorite match, where all of a sudden in the metaverse, which is running on your web browser, you go into that experience and Roger Federer is damn right in front of you in his hologram, in his avatar. It could be recorded, right? But the way it will work is, you go in and Roger Federer is actually telling you, come over here, I'll tell you what was my mindset. Now come over here, I'll show you what was my favorite shot, how I played. That is what is going to really give you goosebumps, right? So that is what's going to really really happen, and we are excited to be in that space. Second is around how the players will be benefited, and I'm sure, Eddie, you have heard a lot about this. See, training even for the players, because for me as an avid sports fan, I feel at an international level or even at the young age, the difference between winning and losing is just how well are you able to manage pressure, given into a particular situation. If I can simulate those scenarios for you, and how will I simulate them? XR. I mean, as simple as that, whether it's metaverse, whether it's a virtual reality standalone app, right? How? So what happens is, if I'm put into those scenarios, oh my god, okay, this is the last over, I need to score 10 runs, or I'm playing badminton, oh my god, I'm 2 points down, how do I really now play it? And you're able to simulate, you'll be better at handling all of those. So that's going to really improve the performances, because I've seen it. Oh, I'm comfortable, that's why we say, right, practice makes a man perfect. So that's the scenario with that, right?
Right. Thank you, Anshul, for taking time, being part of the podcast, sharing your insights and foresight. Yes, I think we are creating the next evolution of internet, and the metaverse, XR space. I think it's gonna have so many use cases. You mentioned the training, and it's gonna touch possibly all industry. It's not gonna leave any industry. And I think maybe to end this conversation, I would again want to stress that we're living in a golden period of time, and I think just this year India saw somewhere around 22 unicorns, and I think just recently there was a 23rd unicorn, Mobilio, Mobio Technologies, which I think is based out of Goa, and the numbers are accelerating. So what I'm trying to hint at is there is so much of opportunity, and I think we living in a point where every company is going to become a tech company, and eventually I think most of the value, if we supposed to kind of believe the reports of the likes of Citigroup and others, there'll be a larger value in the virtual world. So right now is the time for anybody who's listening to jump onto the bandwagon and reach out to people such as yourself who are in the front movers. And congratulations for Metaprenuers and Metaqube. I think those are individually like really cool products which is going to be possibly playing a huge role in binding the future of the metaverse. So thank you once again for taking time and being part of the podcast. And to my listeners, if you like what you see in here, then please press the subscribe button. And until next time, see you guys. Thank you, Anshul. Bye.
Thank you so much, Eddie. Lovely speaking to you.